exist.
Transnistria has survived for 14 years without support from Moldova or the rest of the world.
What is it like to live in a country the world doesn't recognize?
We don't exist. Cardiologists won't come here to work with us.
Simon Reeve journeys to places in search of international recognition. Holidays in the danger zone, places that don't exist on BBC World.
September. It's a mega month of metropolises, mountains, and mystery on the National Geographic Channel. How do you keep a modern city alive? For one mega week, we dig beneath the surface of some of the world's great cities to find out what makes them tick. Mega Cities Week. Nick is back. The intrepid explorer who likes the worst that nature has to offer, seeks higher ground and encounters some strange happenings. Going to extremes, the Silk Routes. Are we being watched? Is there a world out there that could possibly be like ours? How much do we know about our life in outer space? All new discoveries on Extraterrestrial. There is one beast that survives in myth and legend, a powerful icon that has infiltrated our world. Now, for the first time, we ask if science can explain the legend. Quest for the Dragon. A blockbuster month on the National Geographic Channel.
Is the lion really the king of the jungle? When it comes to supremacy, what matters more? Speed, stealth, or raw power? Three wildcats go head-to-head. The cheetah, the leopard, and the mighty lion. Three cats, one goal. Survival. The felines fight it out on Big Cat Challenge. Friday on the National Geographic Channel.
The Petronas Towers were deadlocked at the design stage. Finally, 8 months into the grueling process, architect Cesar Pelli produced a plan that pleased everybody. He embellished the floor plan with semicircular scallops, increasing space without destroying the underlying symbolism. They had their design. Now they were going to have to turn it into reality. The man faced with this mammoth challenge was structural engineer Charlie Thornton. He'd been involved from the beginning, making sure Pelli's unique ideas could actually be built. Thornton's a skyscraper specialist, the best of the best. Now he was really going to earn his money. Thornton realized 15 meters higher would overtake the Sears Tower, the world's tallest building.
The Prime Minister asked, will this be the world's tallest building? And Cesar Pelli said yes. And the Prime Minister said, can you do it? And Cesar turned around to me and said, Charlie, can we do it? And I said, absolutely.
The Prime Minister jumped at the chance to take the world record. Petronas was now to be 450 meters high, the tallest building on Earth. It was a colossal challenge. The schedule was desperately tight. Normally this would have been an 8-year build. The Malaysian budget only allowed for 6. To focus their minds, every day past the deadline would cost the builders more than $700,000, $5 million a week. Then the Malaysians did something very unusual. The contracts for the 2 towers went to 2 different construction companies. The Prime Minister believed competition would keep things on track. The pressure was immense. To stay on schedule, construction would have to run uninterrupted 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, an exhausting workload. The Malaysians wanted the best men to lead their 2 teams. They wanted to learn from the experts. So they decided to play safe for the first and last time in this roller coaster project. They went to the place with a skyscraper track record a century long. New York City. These 2 men were to be in charge of the rival teams. They had years of experience building tall, but they had plenty to learn about working in Malaysia. Foreman Bob Pratt was in charge of Tower 1.
Suddenly there was a buzz in the air within our senior management that there was this mega project. We're all going to pack off and go off to the jungles of Malaysia and build the biggest buildings in the world.
Pratt's rival was Tower 2 foreman John Dunsford. He was in France when he got the call.
Be in Kuala Lumpur in 2 days.
The two men, complete with families, arrived in Malaysia, their home for the next 6 years. The budget clock was already counting down the time they had to finish the task. They found they couldn't even start. They hit a major obstacle before the first bucket of concrete was poured. There was something wrong with the ground.
It was one of those, like you say, worst things you can imagine moments.
The engineers discovered there'd never been a proper survey of the site. They were staggered. They needed a clear picture of the ground beneath them before any work could begin. The whole site came to a standstill. Every wasted day cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. Geologists began boring hundreds of drill holes, bringing up thousands of samples. They were looking for bedrock, something solid to support the massive towers. The survey results were disastrous.
What we found was we were sitting not only on some decayed limestone, but we were sitting on the edge of a cliff.
At one side of the site, there was solid limestone, but the rest of the construction area was much softer, brittle rock. It would crumble under the immense weight of two 88-story skyscrapers. If they built here, the soil would settle unevenly on one side. The towers would sink or even collapse. The team could end up with the Leaning Towers of Malaysia. The whole project was in jeopardy. Time was ticking away as they searched for a solution.
We sort of took all of our prior thinking, threw it away and said, we got to do something different here.
Charlie Thornton's idea was nothing if not daring. He proposed moving the entire building 60 meters onto the softer ground. It seemed like a mad idea, but there was clear thinking behind it. They planned to drive a series of enormous piles 120 meters down through the soil to the hard strata beneath. Then they could make their own bedrock on top. The buildings were going to sit on a vast concrete raft. In effect, they were going to nail the towers to the ground with the world's deepest foundations. It was early 1993. Construction finally got started. Building the foundation slab was going to be a huge job in itself. If the concrete dried unevenly, the whole raft would crack. It could seriously weaken its ability to support the giant building above. So they were going to have to pour it all in one go. That meant pouring concrete for 52 hours without a break, a truckload every 2.5 minutes. It was going to be the biggest concrete slab in Malaysian history. The logistics were mind-bending. Charlie Chilea was in charge.
Having not done this before, it shocked a few of us into a state of frenzy.
For the first 5 hours, everything went well. Then the rains hit Kuala Lumpur. The team had to think fast. They expected rain, but nothing like this. It was torrential, heavy tropical rain. The concrete could get too wet. It looked like they were going to fall at the first hurdle. The tiniest glitch at ground level would translate into a giant headache 450 meters up. Unless they could do something fast, the foundations would be ruined. The team came up with a dramatic solution. They covered the entire site in canvas, the equivalent of 56 circus tents. Thanks to the biggest umbrella in the world, the foundations were finally laid.